Hey everybody, welcome to Missouri Star Live. I am Misty Don't and I'm so excited to be with you today. As usual, thank you for spending your Tuesday with us. We have
What's up, guys?
Jake back there answering or calling out your questions so I can answer them. Where do we have people tuning in from today?
Oh, we've got everybody. We've got Texas, UK, hello via the beach, Debbie,
Woo!
holler out.
Nice.
West Virginia. I bet there's a lot of spring breakers right now.
Oh, probably. Maybe, I don't know.
We
It's
got
that time
San
of year, isn't it?
Diego, South Carolina, California, Arkansas, Plainfield, Illinois.
How did she get that top fan?
We got Jan, our top fan.
Ooh, nice.
You're a diamond member, Jan?
That's so great.
I like this.
Well, awesome. So for today, we're
This
gonna.
is weird. This is weird whenever you can't see it in the comments, right?
It is really weird, but it's
'Cause
okay.
yeah.
It's all right. We got to figure out some way to project
Yeah,
them
we
up so I
yeah.
can see it. That would be great, but someday.
Do they make projectors that tall?
Michael made a height joke. It's fine. Anyway, so today we're talking about Cuddle Luxe, which is this gorgeous minky type fabric from Shannon, and I'm going to teach you guys how to make their Cuddle Luxe blanket. I don't know if you've seen, but these have been all over the internet for sale for like hundreds of dollars.
Guys.
Very, very, very expensive.
I have to be honest. I had to fight Misty to keep her off the table, snuggling in those
I
blankets.
know they're so
But no,
soft. But I kept it together. So Shannon has this amazing free pattern for this large, can you see this? Cuddle Luxe Throw. It is so big and luscious and warm and amazing. So they have a free pattern and we have linked to that for you. And so I made one full-size one as a sample so you guys could see it, but I'm actually gonna make a baby size on the show today. So this one takes 4 yards of the Cuddle Luxe. And the one that we're gonna make today, I just took a yard of the Cuddle and cut it in half.
Copper says she wants to buy a few yards just to like snuggle in.
Yes, you do. It is seriously
But I do have to mention
heavenly. Yes.
that's twofold because you looked like a Viking warrior when you put that on.
Perfect. I love it.
So this could work both ways. It's a blanket or
A cape.
a cape.
Yeah, I like it. So we're going to be using this beautiful, I believe this one's called Rose Water, this pink. So that's what we're going to make today. But let me show you a few of these other ones. This
We had
one
a good
is
question from Evelyn. She was asking about the weight to it. Does it have weight to it?
Yes, it is. It's definitely heavier than like a standard, cotton because of the fur. And there are different like pile lengths. So some of the fur is a little less dense than others. Most of the ones I'm working with today and most of the ones that are in their Cuddle Luxe line, which is what we're talking about, are the little bit longer, more plush and luscious cuddles. So they're just absolutely gorgeous and so soft. And I did want to tell you just a little bit about what sets Shannon's Cuddle or minky cloth, you might be familiar with the term minky, sets them apart from other minkies out there. So there's only stretch.
Minky's a brand name.
No, Cuddle is a brand
Okay,
name.
Cuddle is the brand name.
Cuddle is the brand name, and minky is just this type of fuzzy goodness. So the Cuddle, Shannon Cuddle Luxe, excuse me, sorry, I think I've got some fluff in my throat. It's all good. It only stretches one way, whereas some of the other ones are multi-way stretch, so that makes it a little bit easier to deal with. It also has a higher pile, which means there's more of this softness there for you. And so it's just a higher quality. It is not available in big chain stores. You can only get it from, retailers like us here at Missouri Star. And it is machine washable. So you can wash it in cool and tumble it dry, which makes it great for kids and babies.
We got some questions coming in.
Shoot them my way.
They want to know how wide is the fabric?
Ooh, that's a good question. We will just measure it right here. So it comes on a bolt just like this. And it looks like
55?
58.
58.
It's actually a little bit longer than that, but it's interesting because technically it has a selvage, but because of the fluff, you can't even see it. So you don't really have to trim off the selvage edge. I don't know if you guys can see that.
Show them there. There you go.
Here, let me show you. So see, you can see there is a selvage, but when you flip it over, you cannot even see it. And so when you're working with Cuddle, you can pretty much take it all the way to the edge, and it does not fray because it is a knit. So that's pretty cool too.
The other question, I know you're getting there, but they were wondering about the needle. Do you need a heavy duty needle to go through it?
So what they recommend, actually, I have some of them here, are these stretch needles, the 9014. And so that's what you work with. And I am also going to be using a walking foot with this. It just helps manage some of the shifting that comes with working with Cuddle. So it makes it a little bit easier, and you just want to take your time. And so let's get started. Like I said, we're going to be making a baby quilt size today. So I have gone ahead and I have, like I said, a yard of this beautiful rose water Cuddle Luxe, and I took that yard and I just cut it in half. So we've got like a 36 by 30 piece, essentially, a little bit less than 30. And so when you're putting these together, you do kind of want to be mindful of the way that, what is this actually called? I just went, yeah, is that right? Is it the nap?
The nap, yeah.
Yeah, okay, so yeah, it kind of lays nicer one way than the other. So you just want to feel that. And we're going to put these right sides together, and you want to kind of make sure that they're going the same way. And so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take my pieces and line them up at the top. And one of the other things that Shannon recommends when you're working with their product is these flat flower head pins. They're really easy to see, and they just seem to hold really well. I'm going to actually put this down a little bit more.
The other thing that I've seen a lot of people use is like those Wonder Clips.
Yeah, I didn't have as good of luck with the Wonder Clips. I tried both, and
I've seen you in here with some binder clips though. What do you think of those?
I tried that too. I tried it all. I just really wanted to know what was easiest, and I truly liked just using these flat head pins the best. So that's what I'm going to recommend.
Okay, they wanted one more time on the needle.
Oh, okay, yeah, this is a stretch needle. 9014 is what they recommend to use.
Let me get a good close-up.
All right, I'll leave it there, and I'm just going to keep pinning.
Turn it towards this camera if you can.
Okay.
And then lift it up. Just there you go. Oh, that's beautiful.
Right
wait,
there.
Hold
Got it?
still.
Sorry.
All right, we're good.
All right. There we go. So stretch needle, and we've got our right sides together, and I'm just pinning all the way across the top here. And so what they recommend is you're going to first stitch all the way across the top of your project, and then we're going to do the sides. So I'm going to show you this, and I have some kind of in progress. Like I said, we have that stretch needle and a walking foot in place on the machine.
Also, Julie wants to know, does the fabric lose fluff? So I know she's never sewn with this before.
Yes. So they call it cuddle dust, and you definitely are going to have some fluff, but there are some tips and tricks you can do when you're working with it. If you cut it from the back side, it will help maintain some of that dust from just kind of flying all around. And also if you have like a little handheld vacuum.
Yeah, like a little shop vac.
Like a little shop vac, or even just one of those the little ones, you know what I'm talking about. Can you tell? Are you reading my mind? The one that you hold, hold in your hand, a little dust buster, yeah. And just run it right along the edge after you cut. It will suck up most of that fluff. Also, you can put it in the dryer with like a wet washcloth for 10 minutes or so, and it will gather all of it. Once it sheds the first time, it won't keep shedding. So it's actually one of those things that I think is worth it in the long run because it's so soft and so great. So yes, it will make a little bit of a mess, but if you just prepare for it, it's not that big of a deal. So we are using a walking foot, and I am giving myself a very generous seam allowance. And so I've got my presser foot down, and I'm just gonna make sure, because these do kind of want to slip around, and so as I go, I'm just going to keep my edges together, and I am gonna back stitch.
Wait a second, I just noticed Joyce is a top fan as well.
Awesome.
What does this mean? Mary, what does this mean? Can they have a diamond on there? A top fan? That's awesome. Oh no, it's not a stretch needle. It's a Schmetz.
Well, it's a Schmetz stretch needle. It is a
Schmetz stretch.
It is a stretch needle.
Schmetzy, stretchy.
Yes, and so
That's a tongue twister.
Just take your time. You don't want to go full speed because it can cause it to stretch a little bit. So just take your time going along the side. And as I'm kind of back here a little ways and I'm guiding this, but I'm not pulling. You do not want to pull on it as it's going through. Let the walking foot kind of work for you.
Oh, there we go.
I'm just going to keep lining up. And as you can see here, I've pinned this, but I've kept my pins way out of the way of where I'm stitching so that I don't have to worry about them, and I don't even really need to pull them out as I go.
So we had a question on the seam allowance?
Yes.
1/2 inch?
I would recommend at least a 1/2 inch, but just be generous. It's really up to you. I wasn't too concerned about it being super accurate, so this is well over a 1/2 inch, and I'm okay with it. I just think whatever you want to do to make it easiest for you to work with is going to be great.
When it's a little bit slippery, but it does so well once you get it going, right?
It is a little slippery, but like I said, when you use the walking foot, when you have it pinned in place, it's not a big deal. Just take your time.
And we had a question about the what size stitch length you're using.
Hold on, I can't hear you, so I'm back stitching here at the end. What was that question?
What stitch length are you using right now?
Oh, they actually recommend, and I did not check before I started, so let me tell you what they recommend. They recommend a 3 millimeter, and so I was just at a 2.5, so I should have extended that a little bit. All right, so I have just, as you can see, sewn the top here. We can slip out these pins. If you're just joining us, we are talking about working with Cuddle Luxe by Shannon to make some awesome blankets. And so what they recommend now is you would pin again going down one side, and first you would stitch this side and then the other. And I actually have this all ready to go, so I'm going to show you this next step. Okay, so as you can see, I stitched across the top and then I went down each side. Now for the bottom, you're going to come in from each.
Okay, wait, just to recap there. So
yes.
You already went around the whole thing.
I already went around the whole thing just because I wanted to save us time and be able to show you more of the tips and tricks and finishing. And so I went ahead and sewed down each side, and then I've left an opening. If you're making the bigger blanket, you want to make sure you leave about an 8 to 10 inch opening. This is about a 6 for this baby blanket. Make sure you can see that. And then you're going to sew from the outside in. So I actually just made a little mark on each side of where I wanted my opening to be, and then I sewed from the outside to that mark, and I backstitched at the top and where it would be. And so then the next thing we're going to want to do is we're going to trim off our corners so we can get rid of some of the bulk, because this is thick fabric. Where's my little ruler? Just a second. There it is. Okay. So just make sure that you don't cut off where your stitches cross. You just want to trim off some of that bulk. So we're going to go around and do that on all 4 sides.
Somebody was wondering if you put it in the, not the microwave, the dryer.
Uh-huh.
When you put it in the dryer, if the pattern stays.
Oh.
Of the minky.
Oh, absolutely, yes. Yes, it does. They do recommend using low heat, though, when you dry it. So make sure you do that. Shannon Cuddle, yes. Sorry. Okay, and so then, now I've lost my opening. Now that we've trimmed those corners.
So this is a smaller version.
Yes, I'm just showing you a smaller version so it would be easier to work with. This is just using 1 yard of the Cuddle, which makes it, in my opinion, a great baby size. For this large one that I showed you at the beginning, I'll show you again, that uses 4 yards, 2 yards for each side of the blanket. So then now we're just going to turn this out. Here we go. And you want to make sure you get those corners nice and poked out.
And people are actually asking about the product. This is all available on the link.
Yes, this is all available. We've got a link for you where you can check out all that we have available here at Missouri Star. We have lots of beautiful options. There we go. We just want to make sure we've got all those corners looking good. And then now we have this little opening. And one of the things that I like best about working with this Cuddle Luxe is it is so forgiving. So you can whip stitch this closed by hand if you want to, but I literally just take this to the machine and top stitch it. It's super forgiving. The pile that's in there just covers it right up and no one will even notice it's there. With some of the ones that are a little bit less dense, you might want to go ahead and stitch that by hand, but I did this on the larger one and I'm going to do it on this one as well. So we're just going to take this to the machine. All right, and just make sure that it is turned under where you want it.
And it's a straight stitch, not a...
It is just a straight stitch.
Wait.
And you do, because it is kind of heavy, you want to make sure that the weight is either in your lap or on the table so it's not pulling against the machine as it's trying to sew.
Somebody's asking if you could use it as a quilt backing.
Oh, absolutely.
On a cotton top.
You absolutely could use it as backing.
It is very snuggly.
It's so snuggly and thick. All right.
But I actually have a quilt that was backed in Minky, and it's one of my favorite.
They are just so soft.
Or Cuddle.
Backed in Cuddle. All right. I'm just taking my time. Sewing my opening closed. All right, make sure, I think I'm almost to the end, a few more inches here.
They're wondering the type of thread you're using. Are you using a cotton or a polyester?
I couldn't hear you, I'm sorry.
They're wondering what type of thread you're using.
I am just using standard cotton right now. Okay, so as you can see, like I said, it's all stitched closed and you can hardly even tell it's there. And I am using contrasting thread because I wanted to make sure you guys could see, but if you were using a pink or a cream thread, it would be even less noticeable. So just keep that in mind. And so now what they recommend to finish this off, and let me see if I can show you on this finished one here, this larger one I did. You're going to top stitch around this whole thing, and they recommend anywhere from 1 inch to 3 inches. And it is kind of hard to see, but I went with 3 inches. I just like the look of this wider border. So I don't know if you can see. Can you tell, Jay?
Yeah.
Okay, great. And so I went with 3 inches. So what I did on the sewing machine, I just took a piece of tape and I measured over from my needle 3 inches and I just marked it on my machine because I thought that would be the easiest way to keep track.
Well, a bunch of people are asking about the seam allowance. So the initial seam allowance when you're sewing it on the front is?
I used about a 1/2 inch. Mine was
like a 1/2 to 3/4 of an inch.
Yes, mine was probably closer to 3/4 just because I feel I've done enough of these that I realize it's very forgiving and I just would rather be generous because there is a little bit of slipping that happens. I just want to make sure that I'm allowing plenty of room to gather both of those layers of fabric.
And then another great question, they were asking if the feed dogs are up or down with the walking foot on.
Feed dogs are up.
Yes.
So that way it's guiding on both sides. All right, so then now...
But then when you flip it inside out, you're top stitching, you're getting as close to the edge as you can, but you're closing that.
I'm not getting as close to the edge when I top stitch. That's what I was explaining. So they say to either come in 1 inch or 3 inches for your top stitch, and I'm opting for...
No, I'm saying when you're closing the hole.
Oh, yes. Yes, sorry, I misunderstood. Closing the hole, I just got as close to the edge as I could. Yes.
Okay, so now we're to this point.
Now we're top stitching. Okay, and so like I said, I've marked my machine 3 inches over because that's what I wanted to do. You could mark it 1 inch, 2 inches, whatever is your preference. And so I am just going to put this in here. And I think with this part, the trickiest thing is kind of figuring out your starting point on your corner because you want it to be down 3 inches. So I use my little ruler. Oh, and I guessed like perfect to tell me exactly where I want to start. And so I've just lined up this edge with that tape that I put in place. Now,
Did you tell them about that tape?
I did.
Okay,
Told them about the tape. So one thing I want to make sure of, if you don't remember to put down your presser foot, because it's really hard to tell if it's up or down when you're working with this, it will be a mess. So just make sure you put your presser foot down, because I learned that the hard way.
So they're asking for the bigger one. How much yardage do you order for the bigger one?
So the larger one is 4 yards, and we did link to that free pattern from Shannon. So if you look in the description, you can get all of the supplies needed for that, and I'll show you that again once we finish this top stitch.
And Elizabeth was wondering if you get it in 2-yard increments or get the full 4 yards.
I just got it in the full 4 yards, because then sometimes you'll get a little extra in there, because they give you some when you're cutting. And so if you just cut it in half, then you might get a little bit larger. So that's what I did.
You just need 2 squares that are the same size.
Exactly. All right, so now we're gonna put my needle down. I am gonna just do a little bit of back stitching, and then you're just gonna take your time. And as you're going along, this is laying really nice already, but you're just gonna wanna kind of roll your edge and make sure that it's staying straight so that it's not getting twisted as you're top stitching. But as you can see, I'm just guiding it along, and it's really working great.
Somebody asked if you have to use a walking foot.
You don't have to, but I would highly recommend it, just because you get so much movement with the texture of this fabric. If you don't use a walking foot, just really take your time. Go nice and slow, line it up, but you can do it without. I've done it without one before. So we're just gonna zoom along. When I say zoom, I mean not too fast. Like I said, keep that weight on the table if you can, just so it's not pulling.
So somebody heard the word hand stitching. I think they're worried.
Yes, I showed them, because in the pattern it does recommend hand stitching your opening close, but I don't hand stitch it.
So you
like I
can,
said,
so you can hand stitch it closed and it would hide that way.
It would hide it a little bit more, but I just do a straight stitch right over the top of that seam, and I think it's pretty forgiving, and no one's ever said, oh, why didn't you hand stitch that close? So that's my recommendation. All right. I just want to get to the corner here to show you guys we really are just going to pivot, but you do have to take your time.
Somebody was talking about doing a self-binding blanket out of that.
Oh, yes. Jenny has a
great
pattern making a self-binding out of this, and what's so great about the Cuddle in particular is there's not really any raw edges. It doesn't fray. And so her method, if you watch her tutorial for how she did the self-binding with the Cuddle, it's pretty awesome. Uh-oh. I think we got stuck. Let me see what we've got going on here. No, it's good.
Sometimes you gotta help it through, or what?
Well, usually it just, I think I must have got caught in the feed dogs. There we go. Just got a little bit caught, and so I'm just gonna check my needle, make sure I'm lining back up where I was. There we go. But like I said, this is just one of those things that you really want to take your time on, because you are working with a lot of thickness and, you know, that little bit of plush. But it was an easy fix. Just kind of got caught in the feed dogs, and we just keep making our way down. And like I said, don't push or pull, just kind of guide it and try and help it out. All right, and so, oh, also I forgot to mention this, but if you have a needle down function, it's really helpful. So use that if you've got it. And now I'm gonna check, and I am to my 3 inches. So I'm going to lift that presser foot, and sometimes you kind of have to extra hold it to get it to turn underneath.
So somebody was asking about, if you use it as a backing, can you quilt it?
Absolutely.
If you're machine quilting it on your own machine, it's gonna be slippery, because
Yes.
it is a little bit slippery, but you kind of want it to be slippery to what flows.
Yeah, and we also linked to a great tips sheet that Shannon has put out, and it talks a little bit about if you're quilting with the Shannon and just some tips that they have for how to maintain it. Like they recommend using spray-based to kind of hold it in place so you get a little bit less slippage, but just play with it. And they do have some that aren't quite as dense as these that might be a better option for, you know, a quilt backing, but you really can use any of it. It works great. All right, and so then we've just made that corner. We're just gonna keep keeping along until we make it all the way around.
Well, and I know if there's an option on our website that has Cuddle, we do. I've seen quilts come out of our quilting department.
We machine quilt with Cuddle on the back. So if that's something you're, you know, maybe not willing to try yourself, but you want to send it off, we do offer that here at Missouri Star. So that is a great option. So do we have any other questions?
Can you iron it?
Oh, I think that's on.
Do we have the iron?
Well, no. I know they have something on their. It says to use a pressing cloth if pressing is needed. So don't iron directly on it. But that is also, they have this great Cuddle 101 tips sheet, and it's on there.
Somebody's saying you could put flannel on one side and then the Cuddle on the back.
Absolutely.
Any two sizes of fabric, big squares.
Yes, it's just such a quick and easy project. I mean, truly. And like I said, I think people are afraid of the fluff, but if you just, you know, use those little tips that they suggest to help manage it, it's really not that bad. And you kind of just have to embrace it. So you're going to have a little bit on you, but like I said before, once you throw it through the dryer the first time, it doesn't continuously shed. It stops shedding after that first
Okay, Dee Dee
phase.
says no to ironing.
Yeah, okay, Dee Dee.
Shannon
says
no
no
ironing.
So yeah, it says use a press cloth on their thing, but
I think it's kind of
don't
like,
iron directly on it because I think it is like polyester, like it's some type of fiber that will melt. So, but it is just so soft and beautiful, and yeah, I hope you guys will try it because I think you will really enjoy it. And they are
do we sell the fabric?
We do. We sell all of this beautiful fabric. There's a link right to it. So make sure you check out all that we have available. We brought a few more for you to see, just so you can see some of these varieties. We have a question in the back.
I'm going to have you lay them in the middle so I can top cam them.
Perfect. Let me do that. Let me just lay out some of the different ones.
They were asking one more time about the top stitching length.
Oh, so same thing, the 3 millimeters.
3 mil.
Yep.
That's black, white, Paloma.
Okay.
Oh, people are voting for me. Thank you guys. Facebook, you are the best.
Aren't these so beautiful? So this is Rosewater. Do you remember what this one is, Mary?
That's Fox something. Hold on, I'm on the page.
She's going to look it up for me.
It's the Jon Snow.
I think it's Fox.
Fox. Hold on, I just had it.
Sorry, Mary. Put you on the spot.
No, you're fine. Red Fox, Amber Taupe.
This is Red Fox, Amber Taupe. This one is
Heather Quartz.
Heather Quartz. This is the black and white Paloma.
Correct.
And this was
White.
or natural, I think.
Okay.
I don't.
Hide, maybe?
Yeah, white or natural hide. And then this is
Black marble.
black marble. So, like,
They
seriously,
did
I just want to like
feed dogs up,
cuddle
run through
on
it.
them.
Yeah. Misty,
Sorry,
no sleeping on the job.
I'm just gonna have to snuggle up and take a nap, I think. Either way, if you guys have any other questions, let me know. I hope this alleviated some of your fears of working with this Cuddle. It's really a great product.
Somebody said I'm scared of the slipperiness.
It's not bad. Just pin it. Don't be afraid of the slipperiness. Take your time. I mean, that's really all it is. And
Well,
like I said,
what did you find out from like the different clips?
What do you mean?
Was there any, like, if they don't like pins, the clips worked?
I just felt like because it is slippery, that the clips did not stay as well as I would have liked them to. So like if you shift it wrong because it's heavy, it'll just pull it out of the clip. That's why I just stuck with those flathead pins and I had no issues at all. And so I really recommend those.
So pin it good
Just pin it good. Yeah, take your time and just don't fret. And like I said, if you have a walking foot, it really does make all the difference. It just, zoomed right through there and kept everything where it was supposed to be. But just like anything that has a little bit of slip or stretch, just take your time. That's really the trick.
Somebody said they missed Mom. Well,
I know. She's on a cruise.
Listen, she's on a cruise, so don't miss her too much, okay? We're here.
We're here working hard, and she's on a sunny cruise enjoying some rest that she deserves. So we miss her too. She's the best. Anyway,
Yeah,
I hope this covered all of it.
Somebody said that Wonder Clips work great too. I've had good success with the Wonder Clips, but pins make sense because it's just locked in.
Yeah, I just, like I said, I had made a few of these as I was prepping for this, and I just had better luck with the pins, so that's the way that I went. But please give this a try. If you missed any of this, remember you can go back and watch it from the beginning. It'll be on Facebook and YouTube for you. And until next week, have a fabulous day.
Yep.
And thank you so much for being here with us, and we will see you later.
See you guys.
See ya.